So it seemed to me that these two top-level pro gamers are facing off against each other literally every single week so far this year. So I decided to look it up. It turns out that we are currently in week 39 of 2023, and these two have faced off against each other in 36 separate tournament series. What I've got for you today is the grand finals of the Korean StarCraft League number 28, where in the bottom left-hand corner we first and foremost have Mr. Hero and his opponent in the opposite corner with the blue Zerg drones. We're looking inside of the main base of Dark. Dark versus Hero. I've casted these two going up against each other so many times, to the point where I actually got a little bit concerned a couple of weeks ago, or maybe a couple of months ago at this point, that you guys would get tired of me casting them facing off against each other. But the thing is, if you've watched a bunch of these series, you start to recognize the meta games as well. These guys aren't even necessarily playing the matchup, they aren't even really playing the maps, they're really very much so playing the opponent. And generally speaking, it results in some of the lowest high-level StarCraft 2 that I get to cast. Because these two, they seem to be making quote-unquote mistakes, but they're trying to like feign error for the opponent to try and make themselves look weaker than they actually are, and they're trying to play all kinds of mind games. The thing, of course, is that both Hero and Dark are good friends. They're in the same team, and like I said, they apparently face off in a tournament literally every single week so far. Well, not literally, 36 times so far this year out of the 39 weeks that we have had. In case you're interested, in 2023, Dark has won 45% of their encounters, meaning, of course, that Hero has been winning the majority of them, which is pretty cool, actually. Yeah. It seems that, in general, Protoss is struggling a little bit at the highest level of StarCraft 2, but Hero definitely is one of the players who does very well. Alrighty, so, let's see. It's gonna be a standard opener here from both players. I think for the remainder of this series, unless something spicy happens, I'll be skipping the first couple of minutes just to try and make it a little bit, you know, a little bit smoother, right? Generally speaking, the first couple minutes of a Protoss versus Zerg look very similar. So what exactly do we have? Hatchery first for the Zerg, into a gas geyser, into a spawning pool. We've got a bunch of queens coming up, and it'll be up to the Zerg player here to defend against the early game aggression from the Protoss. Now, 9 times out of 10 in the current meta of StarCraft 2, honestly, probably 9.8 times out of 10 in the current meta of StarCraft 2, it's gonna be Adepts together with Oracles. So we will have a quick expansion on the low ground here as well for Hero, low ground wall off, and then of course that's Stargate inside of the main base. The Stargate is just simply the best all-around tool that Protoss has. You can go for Glaive Adepts, for example, if you want to. You can go into, I don't know, Dark Templar, into Archon drops or whatever. But generally speaking, when a StarCraft 2 multiplayer balance patch is around for a long time, the players will figure out what the very best opener is. And, well, at this point, it's well determined, well documented that this particular opener right here for Hero is the one that has the highest win rate. The main advantage of it is that you can... Okay, that's cute. The main advantage, of course, is that you can deal damage on the other side of the map. You can use those oracles in the later stages of the game as well. And maybe most importantly, you can grab yourself a really nice and early third base. So as soon as this oracle is out, we'll probably see a probe moving on over towards the third base location. And then right around 3 minutes and 45, 3 minutes and 50 seconds or so is when Protoss will be able to take that third. And there's really not a whole lot that the Zerg player can do about it. Whereas if you decide to go for like a Glaive Adept opener or Dark Templar or whatever, you're almost forced to deal damage on the other side of the map because generally your third base doesn't really come up until like the 5-minute mark. Maybe a little bit before that. But because you end up delaying your own third, your, you know, potential third base, you end up in a pretty feisty position. And you have to almost deal damage on the other side. Now, that was a cute little revelation there. Hero not actually jumping the mineral line right there with the Oracle, or with, of course, those Adepts. He may very well try to do so. Dark, by the way, has stopped droning entirely. So, even though I just said earlier that it's generally the Zerg that gets to defend in the earlier stages of the game, I still definitely stand by that. This time around, apparently, the Queens are marching towards the other side. Okay. Dark sometimes plays this game like he has got someplace to be and he really doesn't have a lot of time to complete this finals. I actually genuinely believe that sometimes that is true because when it comes to online cups, sometimes they can run for, you know, an hour or two more than you originally anticipated. So Dark's like, you know what? I had dinner plans, bro. Let's get this over with. Not exactly sure. Well, it's the Korean StarCraft League. I'm not exactly sure what time slot this generally gets played in, but sometimes it really does feel like Dark wants to get this series over with as quickly as possible. And well, apparently here we go. It's going to be Zerglings Banelings will be on the horizon as well, judging right there by the production tab, but it's going to be mostly just Zerglings and Queens right now at this stage in the game. And technically speaking, Protoss should have all the tools at their disposal. Losing the Cybercore is going to make things a little bit harder because, well, he cannot make any Stalkers or any Adepts anymore until he rebuilds it. He's manually using that shield battery over here as well. Battery overcharge, there we go. Just to try and keep that Cybercore alive, which, yes, you can manually target. A lot of links are still streaming across the map. Soon I think we're going to have about 8 Banelings join the battlefield as well, and that is going to make this all very, very scary. But so far, amazing defense right here for hero. He's basically lost nothing, right? I mean, yeah, a couple of Adepts. Sorry, didn't mean to call you nothing. But nothing of importance. Sorry. No, but seriously, those units, they really don't matter that much. As long as he keeps his economy around. So he's already oversaturated on 2 bases. He's going up against only 33 drones on the other side of the map. These Banelings are trying to maximize their damage. Adepts will be able to, well, shade away if they wanted to, but they decided to cancel. Okay, the third Nexus is likely going to be in a lot of trouble, though. Oracles apparently had decided to go towards the other side of the map. They didn't really kill that much, it seemed, but we still have a whole lot of Oracles in the sky, and there will be a moment where the Oracles can actually just start fighting these Queens straight up. Killing the third Nexus here is not enough. Killing the third Nexus is nice, but it's not really gonna hurt the Protoss player that much. Is he gonna go after the third base? Alright, an eye for an eye. I actually don't mind this at all, even though I think usually... Okay, well, I was gonna say, usually it's kind of a sketchy decision. If he can take the third, I don't think it's a bad idea. The problem, of course, is that it's a big commitment, and usually guaranteed damage is the way to go. If he could have, however, killed that third base right there from the Zerg player, it would have been 2 base versus 2 base, and that's exactly where a Protoss player wants to be. At this point, though, we're still talking 48 workers for Protoss versus, now, 46 right here for the Zerg. But for the majority of this game, yeah, Protoss has had a very steep income advantage. Alright, now the problem is, Dark is very good, right? In these sort of scenarios. So obviously, hero at this point is in a good spot. But can he capitalize on this position? Do you now decide to go for a third base again? Do you decide to go for an all-in? Where exactly do you take this game when you are the Protoss? Do you decide to sneak out a third right now? Do you wait a little bit longer? Do you just add on additional gateway production? Well, looking right here inside of the main and the natural of the Protoss, there's a lot of infrastructure. Alright, we've got ourselves that pylon now being broken open as well, so he is going to be able to leave his own base here momentarily. +1 melee, by the way, was pretty early, all things considered here for the Zerg. Roach Warren coming up. We've got ourselves a Lair coming up too, and Dark actually has got a pretty formidable worker count right now. Alright, hero's gonna try and retake that third Nexus. He does have the +1 together with the charge upgrade coming up. So recently we saw this strategy being played quite a bit by MaxPax against Zerg. In that particular series though, against Serral, MaxPax decided to go for the Psionic Storm upgrade really early on as well. I think, yeah, I was gonna say, with this particular variant, I think we're gonna go Zealots and Archons instead. So I would imagine here that... maybe not. I was gonna say, I would imagine that hero wants to go for some sort of aggression on the other side of the map, but I think he's a little concerned. He has seen a lot of Zerg throughout this game, and I don't think he really wants to get too aggressive. Instead, he just, yeah, is gonna try and play the macro game and harass, well, the Zerg wherever he can. For now, we're gonna settle on a bunch of creep tumors. I don't hate it. There's still a lot of queens available in this game, and getting rid of them, well, it may not prevent the queens from marching across the map, but it certainly makes things a little bit trickier. Dark's a scary player, though. His economy was nothing to write home about earlier, but right now he finds himself in a pretty good position. Most Protoss players, after being economically ahead in the early game, will transition towards some sort of 2-base all-in. Even though the original intent of the game may not have been to go for a 2-base all-in, it usually works out really well because, well, you can muster up a bigger army. Usually you can catch the Zerg player as they are droning, but since hero did not decide to do so, I'm actually starting to get a little bit concerned for him here. Like, evidently he's got, you know, experience with it, and he realized, yo, I probably shouldn't be going for the all-in, but that's now given Dark a lot of wiggle room. At this point, Dark is going to go +2 melee, he's going to be going into the Baneling Nest, he's going to be going into the Roach Speed, he's going to be going into whatever he can, and with an economy of 75 workers spread across 4 bases, he's got an awful lot of stuff. There's not really that much on the horizon here either for hero that's really gonna make his army that much better. I mean, it's gonna be, I guess, Immortals together with Archons. That's nice and all, but there's no Storm. There's no late game transition or anything like that even remotely close. And I'm a little concerned here that over the next few minutes, Dark is gonna be able to outgrow the Protoss quite a bit. I would love to maybe see some Disruptor play or something along those lines. I think that would be an excellent choice here. Instead, hero decides to play, yeah, very laid back. He wants to go for a 4th Nexus here at the 6 o'clock position, and it may very well work out for him, but he's giving Dark all the time in the world. Like, if Dark would have known this passivity, I think he would have gone straight to like 90 workers. And at that point, well, Protoss would be in a world of trouble. No. That hurts every time. And I play Zerg myself. That hurts every time, dude. So that was a Prism going down with 2 Archons inside of it. You can discuss balance all you want in the comment section. I know people love discussing balance, but that was a major error. That is nothing to do with balance. That is a very substantial mistake, and I believe that Dark is now ready to start punishing his opponent for it. +2 melee here is done. He doesn't have any large groups of Ravagers, just a couple to pop some force fields. Stasis Ward over there though, nicely done. Queen's over here, still getting some, well, good transfusions off as well. That is a lot of Immortals in the mix. And those Immortals don't mess around. It's just that +2 Zerglings absolutely destroyed him. Alright, so now hero has decided this is the time there that I want to go. Apparently this is the moment. Nice little pop-in right there of that Stasis Ward there in the back. Banelings are trying to roll forward. He's blinking backwards as well, leaving all of those Immortals very exposed. Maybe he was hoping that the Banelings were going to be move commanded on top of all of those Immortals, but, well, that didn't really happen. 4th Nexus, by the way, never started up, so this is effectively still a 3-base all-in, just a very late one. A lot of Zerglings on the back of this. Dark does need to make sure he starts spending his money, though. Yeah, he's got a lot of resources in the bank. 1,200, 1,300 gas. A little bit more than you're aiming for, but obviously if he manages to disengage, he can always transition towards more Ravagers. Alright, that may just be hero's saving grace, to be honest. But still, the queens there in the back, the 10 queens that we built earlier on in this game, 8 still remain, and they are just transfusing with whatever energy they've got. GG is cold. I think it would have been really nice here for the Protoss if we had 2 more Archons than a Prism. Okay. Ancient Cistern. Excellent game number 1 right there from Dark, albeit with a strategy that is considered to be maybe B tier at best. Maybe A tier. Yeah, generally speaking in StarCraft, all of the pro gamers that like to play S tier strategies, the absolute best strategies that they can be going for, but yeah, Dark is very much so the type of guy who will throw a curveball every once in a while, and it's just one of those threats that you don't get a lot of practice against, which ultimately makes it better. If that was something, if that particular like Zergling Queen push was something that Zerg players would go for in like 50% of the games, Protosses would be able to defend it much better than Hero still did in that previous game, you know? I think the follow-up, like the defense at home was good, but I think Protosses would work on things like that follow-up, like they would experiment with what exactly would be the ideal response after defending that early game aggression. Anyhow, first couple Zerglings have made their way across the map. They're gonna work on whatever they can. A little bit annoying, but there will be another Adept out right now. Stargate is at the front, so at the very least he knows what he's playing against. Okay, single Adept over here getting a kill. 1 Adept, or actually no, I've got 2 kills. Okay, must have been 1 Zergling together with a worker. Yeah. Anyways, I don't think that's quite ideal for one of those Adepts, but that's because Hero was busy microing at home as well, so those Zerglings on the other side still putting in a little bit of work. Stargate at the front is actually a little funky. Generally, you try to hide it at least a little bit, but I guess this has become such commonplace right now that you don't even really need to hide it anymore. Small group of Zerglings going around the side. They probably want to kill a probe that would be heading on over in this direction right now to make a 3rd base. It's however not coming up just yet. Spore Crawler finishing in a couple seconds from now. Beautiful. Beautiful play here by Dark. Okay, Hero, what are we doing right now, buddy? Oh, Hero. What? Oh, that hurts, man. Yeah, I don't know about that, guys. I've got nothing, okay? Normally, I can give you a reason as to why. There was really nothing going on. The Zorklings were running around, but I mean, that is not something that herO's should really be struggling against, because that's something he deals with day in, day out. I mean, those mistakes we've just seen over the last few minutes of this video, they are significant and uncharacteristic. It is, especially losing that Prism with 2 Oracles in it. I mean, obviously that's at a point in a game where the match is a lot more chaotic and a lot less, you know, figured out, I guess, because the Prism, there's a lot more variables, right? It's always going to be in a slightly different position, and you don't really know exactly where the queens are at, but herO knew that there was one of those queens in the main base, so that must mean the other queens are chilling in the natural or in the third, and likely, if there's a Spore Crawler in the main base, there's 2 queens at least in the natural. I mean, you send it back home right through the Zerg's territory. Very sloppy mistake. Anyways, he did get a couple Creep Tumor kills on the other side of the map, so that's nice and all. Zerglings here got pushed back too. Immediately. This is what Dark does. Immediately, Dark is gonna try and capitalize on this. A lot of Zork players would capitalize by making a big round of drones and they'd be like, yo, I am gonna use this as an opportunity to just make extra workers and win later on into the game. Dark generally doesn't do that. He is ready to just, well, push for the win. Just like he did in game number 1. He got the Prism, immediately made himself ready to go for a push. In game number 2, well, I mean, he got a good bit of damage done right there on that Oracle too, and he realizes now that Protoss really hasn't done a whole lot to him. Bunch of probes going down here. He's activating the Pulsar Beam, which I really, really like. Is there enough energy to remaining over here in these Oracles to at least shut down this first worm? It looks like there will be. But now the Oracles are out of energy. Zorklings are going back in once again. We're gonna go for a little bit more of a conservatively placed Nidus Worm here, and herO is in a world of trouble. He doesn't have energy. He's missing an Oracle. He's lost an Adept on the other side of the map for a Zergling and a drone. I mean, I understand I'm nitpicking, but at this level of play, 1% improvements are absolutely massive. Alright, Dark's droning behind this, so he just fired up a large round of workers. Maybe the Oracle's on the other side of the map? Okay, can get some work done, because herO did anticipate this move. Okay. 7 workers going down in total, but Dark's still with a worker lead, and obviously herO right now. Oh no, herO! What? I don't know. herO's currently the highest ranked Protoss in the world statistically. According to Oligalek, he's the #1 Protoss. I've recently mentioned in the Max Specs videos that I think Max Specs has been overall more impressive to me personally. And it's mostly because of, like, you know, very sloppy mistakes. Very sloppy mistakes. I mean, he handled the, like, so here's the thing, right? He handles it very well when the crisis is ongoing. So, like, when his house is on fire, he knows exactly what parts of the home needs to be saved. He's got, like, a bag ready, you know? He's got, like, his laptop in there, his phone charged. He's got everything ready to go. However, it would be much easier if you just turned off the stove, right? Like, why are you letting the fire start in the first place? And he's very good at the crisis management. He does it incredibly cleanly, because he only lost, like, 4 workers there when the Zerglings did sneak in, but it just makes the game unnecessarily complex and difficult, despite the fact that, you know, there really wasn't a reason for it. So, apparently what herO does is he switches up his hotkeys a lot. So apparently what he does is he's got an active control group for whatever unit composition he's been playing with recently. And he only ever uses 2 control groups from what I've heard. I haven't actually looked this up, but this is what other people have told me. He uses 2 control groups. So right now he's got 1 control group for this and 1 control group for that. That means that he all army hotkeys all the time. And you can put a probe over here on hold position maybe, but it also means that you accidentally pull those units away from the wall off all the time. Anyways, this is a big all-in right now though from the Protoss player. He still has a significant army. I would imagine that Dark can muster up enough units here to defend this, because his economy is just much bigger, and, well, let's just be honest, he's playing a much better game so far in this series. Prism once again, by the way, very low in hit points. Took a bit of a beating. These drones will have to be transferred to the minerals once again, but other than that... Alright, the 4th hatch is gonna go down. Problem is, this 4th hatch... Oh, maybe it's not even gonna go down. This 4th hatch is irrelevant. It's just a macro hatch, I guess. This is still 2 base Protoss. Okay, now finally those drones get sent back. So that actually was a pretty significant advantage right there for hero. But now these workers are back to mining. I don't really see what he can do. Prism, prism, prism! Oh! 9 overlords coming up here for Dark. Not quite as painful as losing your prism 2 games in a row. But here is Dark ready to rub salt in the wound. There is nothing available that's good against Mutas here. There is... I mean, there's no Blink upgrade. There are maybe 1 Archon? No, there's not even an Archon available anymore because, well, 2 more are coming up right now. Anyways, Dark is not planning on engaging this army, I don't think. Although he may be able to. I think what he's going to use his Mutas for is just straight up counter-attacking. Nidus Worm inside of the main base as well. Dark is playing, like, as much as I am criticizing hero here, I also... Maybe I shouldn't be focusing on the negative so much. It's just kind of painful, you know? Dark is playing an excellent series here. Like, Dark is dominant. Roach is going across. Nidus Worm in the main base. Roach is streaming into the main too. We've got Lings over here, the reinforcing units cleaning all of it up. Mutas are ready to dash into another base. I mean, Dark is ready to harass 4 bases, and there are only 2. Like, there's a 3rd Nexus available right now. Yeah, I guess the Mutas... the Mutas... normally you want to send them in ASAP, but the Mutas are just sort of chilling. herO's also mostly chilling, though. He's trying to just stay alive. And sometimes staying alive is all you really need to do in a game of StarCraft 2, but... Well, that was the first time that hero saw the Mutas and he realized there's really nothing he can do. GG is called, and Dark gets another point on the board. Okay, Gresvan is gonna be game number 3. And this is already match point right now for Dark. He was forced to take his 3rd base as his very first expansion here, because his natural got blocked, but I don't think that really matters to Dark all that much. Now this becomes an incredibly tough series though for hero, because not only will he need to win 3 in a row if he wants to win against Dark, he's going up against Dark, and Dark has already shown us in this match that he is not afraid to get aggressive. At this point, Dark can go for a very creative cheese of whatever flavor he likes, and he can miss twice. Now, odds are that if Dark goes for 3 cheeses, that hero will crumble under at least one of them. A Phoenix first. Interesting. Okay, well that's generally a big indicator he wants to play a macro game, or at the very least he wants to deny any sort of scouting. Missed target right there by the Adept. Could have gotten a drone, didn't get anything there. Spore Crawler is, I was gonna say, is gonna come up, but he decides to cancel it. Alright. It's actually gonna be multiple Phoenixes. That is very interesting to me. The Stargate's positioning is also a bit strange. Generally, you'll be putting it a little bit closer to the edge. So I guess this is positioned in such a way that he really wants to deny any scouting here from the Zerg. So Dark's not gonna see that it's gonna be multiple Phoenixes. Phoenixes are fantastic units. I really like Phoenix play in Protoss versus Zerg, but it's also one of those unit comps that can fall flat on its face very easily, right? Because these units, they do have energy, and they can definitely kill a lot of stuff, but they can't really win you the game straight up single-handedly. So, yeah, usually it leads towards a longer game, and so far it seems like Dark has easily has had hero's number. Alright, Forge coming up. Do we see a Twilight Council as well? I would imagine there's gonna be a Twilight Council, maybe with like Charge or something like that, but... Anyways, you can see right here that because of the decision to go for these Phoenixes, you can tell here that hero does not go for a 3rd Nexus yet. So already, we've effectively delayed our 3rd base by like 45 seconds here, which adds up so quickly. There's still no 3rd base to be seen anywhere. What are we gonna do with the Forge? That Forge surprises me a bit. Robo facility coming up. We've got 5 Phoenixes, but we're done producing right now. +1 melee or +1 ground weapons here coming up for hero. Okay, yeah, I'm not a huge fan of this. These 5 Phoenixes have achieved nothing other than kill 1 Overlord. And I guess maybe slow down the Zerg a little bit to make like an extra round of Queens, but I don't think Dark really cares about making an extra round of Queens. He didn't even do that, actually. He still has the conventional amount. They really need to start justifying themselves. Okay, there we go. Starting to lift up a couple units. Now, these are units that gain value over time. The reason why I'm a little hesitant on the Phoenixes so far is that they really fall off as the game continues. Ooh. So, once Zerg gets up to like 110 or so army supply, 100-ish. Wow, okay. You can see that over here at the bottom of the screen. So Dark currently only at 22, but once he gets up to like the triple digits, I think he's gonna be able to just, yeah, slap these units out of the sky. So these 7 worker kills were pretty good, but the third Nexus is super late in comparison to game number 1 and 2. And Zerg at this point can easily replace those lost workers as well. So there is no Twilight Council. This is just straight up +1 ground weapons, together with Immortal production, I guess. He doesn't have an Immortal out just yet. He decided to go for a Prism first. There are 4 Adepts inside of it, okay. The Queens are currently pretty busy. Yeah, okay, maybe these Adepts can justify this. Okay. These Adepts can definitely put in some work. Phoenix is still flying around over there. I mean, the worker count right now has really been hurting, though. Yeah, okay. I don't know if this was the original intent right here for hero. Kind of felt to me like he was just throwing stuff at the wall and hoped that something would stick. But you know what? It's stuck. 21 workers have gone down. Okay. Still though, you can see that Dark has been rebuilding his economy as he's losing it. But here's the real follow-up. So that third Nexus is a complete... Well, I mean, it's not a complete fake. It's a third Nexus. It's a little pyramid over here, but... There's no workers mining there. We're effectively at a worker count that is for 2 base. And Dark has been droning up after seeing that third base, as if this is gonna be triple base economy here for hero as well. So maybe this very wonky opener here for hero is going to work out for him in the end. This reminds me a lot of those SOS strategies. Remember those? I casted him in the GSL Code S recently in the qualifiers. Very uncomfortable game to play, something that technically speaking doesn't seem that good, but there's a lot of clever stories being told here by the Protoss player, lifting up the Ravager cocoons, by the way. When's the last time you've seen that? Hero, taking a page out of SOS's book. He gets a point on the board. Neo-Humanity is gonna be game number 4. Dark has decided to go for the forward base first. This is of course in a much more exposed location, but if you can get it to work, the rich Vespian Geyser is incredibly helpful, especially if you want to go for some more aggressive openers. So the rich Vespian Geyser, it returns 8 gas a trip rather than the conventional 4, which adds up very, very quickly. If you compare that to golden minerals, for example, these return 7 minerals a trip. The conventional blue ones, well, they return 5. So this is significantly better, but it's also in a... yeah, pretty aggressively positioned location. Alright, so first Adept is coming in right now. Starting to do a little bit of harassment. Link speed coming up. A lot of additional Zerglings already at this stage in the game here for Dark, who just decided to grab the third. Stargate opener once again over here at the front. Looks like Hero is gonna use this as his entrance into the natural expansion. Second Adept showing up. Okay. Getting 3 Zerglings so far. Not bad. Yeah, until link speed is done, these units are king. Very annoying to have to deal with. 2 Adepts in the main base. 4 Zerglings is not enough. Okay. This could actually be kind of nice. 1. 2. I think 3 or so, or 4 would be really nice. Okay. Okay. 3 I guess is okay. 2 Adepts though for 3 is a little... He's got a lot of Zerglings too, so not to forget about those. Alright, Oracle coming up right now. Because he did lose those Adepts, it's a little bit more difficult to actually grab the third, and it looks like Hero wants to grab the third over here in the back. He did start mining those mineral fields a little bit too late though. This is wide open, buddy. Anyways, Oracle over here in the meantime on the other side, getting 2 kills apparently. Yeah, this is wide open. Getting 2 worker kills with an Oracle is nice, but that third Nexus is now already about 20 seconds late. I'm being very critical here, guys, but I've just casted so many series of these 2 lately where it just seems a little bit more sloppy than it really needs to be, especially at this level of play. Anyhow, Oracles continuing their journey on the other side of the map. Couple drones. Really nice, really nice. Oh, nice. Okay. So that's 8 worker kills right now for 2 adepts. Much better position here than we have been in the previous games. Twilight Council right now on the back of this. I wouldn't mind seeing a fort as well here, hero. He's decided to go 3 gas so far and a supply block. Ugh, starts up the pylon as the supply block is hit. Okay. We must construct additional pylons. He's like, oh, we do? Excellent. Well, one way you can open up more supply is by losing a bunch of units. That is always an option. Alright. Normally, though, this Nexus would be done, I guess, right? So, that's the reason why that pylon was probably mistimed a little bit. Anyways, Gateway's now coming up. Oracles are gonna settle for a few more Zergling kills, but in the end here... Ooh, Darkham making 7... Oh my god, hitting a massive supply block himself, too. Did I just see 9 Overlords right there on the production tab for a sec? Anyways, too many Overlords is what I saw on the production tab. Unless we want to go for an all-in, I think that's too much. Yeah, unless you're planning on making use of all of that supply, and you didn't really need any additional workers anyway. Oh, you really need to preserve these units. Yeah, I think it's okay if he decides to just go mass unit production right now. I think that's actually the plan. So, Dark opening up the door here to try and probably go for a push over here into the natural. This is still wide open. There's a lot of room right there to run into the natural expansion of the Protoss. That is certainly something Dark must have noted by now. Okay, I don't mind the supply situation very much anymore now. Apparently he decided that 37 workers is all he was ever going to need. Well, let's see. Is this going to work out? Dark Shrine on the horizon. Robo Bay coming up as well. Those are very powerful. Disruptors are good. Colossi are fantastic. Now he starts droning again? Okay, no, I don't like that. If you start droning again right now, you're basically saying, yo, this push that I wanted to go for is not working, but then you're already so far behind. If he does decide to commit, though, in like half a minute from now, he's going to be playing against Dark Templar, and there's not a whole lot of detection available for the Zerg player, other than, I guess, those Spore Crawlers that are out. Okay. One Oracle getting a little bit too adventurous, but more drones here are probably going to go down. Okay, Dark, it's time to tighten up the game a little bit, dude. I've been critical of hero, mostly because you played an amazing game number 1 and 2. Game number 3 was confusing, I'll give you that. Game number 4, straight up sloppy. Low drone counts, straight up big supply blocks. Another supply block right now where we're making 5 Overlords. Lair incredibly late here because he was kind of forced into it. Still no Spore Crawler in this area either. He wants to go for drones at this point because he needs that 3-base saturation, but at this point, of course, the army quality here for hero is getting a whole lot better. As a matter of fact, he's just using Dark Templar as part of his main force. That's interesting. Generally, you'd be using those on the other side of the map to get some work done, but apparently he's decided, no, this is not likely to work. Evo Chamber, by the way, over here at the intersection. It's like the middle of a roundabout. They put a lot of decorations on roundabouts in the Netherlands. Maybe this is what we've got going on over here, man. There's like a statue or like whatever. Anyways, Dark Templar coming in. Plants, trees, there's a lot of stuff. Yeah, I was gonna say. That was an interesting decision. They got in range right there of that Spore Crawler, which is kind of funny too. Anyhow. This is an interesting match at this point, because nothing really works out here for the Zerg. Hero has decided to take this base as his 4th. Also interesting. Didn't he start this fort shop ages ago? +1 ground weapons right now has been started. Maybe he canceled it or something? Or maybe I just misremembered. I feel like he had that forge down for a while. Okay. So Dark is going to try and pull a rabbit out of a hat by going for a Spire at this point. Both players are tiptoeing around each other, but I think eventually hero is going to have a much better army. Now, Mutas can change the tide of battle, though, because one effect that Mutas usually have in this matchup is that they force the Protoss player to step onto creep. So the Mutas go in and Protoss is like, oh crap, I need to get something done on the other side of the map. So they just decide to put all of their eggs in one basket and just go for a big push, and that's when suddenly those roaches and zerglings can still put in a lot of damage. In theory, though, if hero plays his cards right, if he plays his cards right, he should have the much better army. Do we only have one immortal, by the way? Yeah, only a single immortal. This is very zealot heavy. We don't have any banelings yet here either, which is a bit surprising. It's just gonna be roaches, but tons of disruptors. You gotta be careful that you don't accidentally destroy your own zealots right here with those disruptors, because that is certainly something that can deal splash damage to your own units. Spire now, fully done. I'm assuming the larvae are gonna turn into mutas here momentarily. Okay, 9 mutas on the production tab. Dark wants to force this Protoss here to step onto creep. He's still gonna have to dodge all of the disruptors. The disruptors are move commanded forward right now. I was gonna say, that's some aggressive positioning. One of them gets picked off by the queens. Okay, well, still looking like a menacing army right now, though. 9 mutas are coming still. They're finally out at this point. They will be spotted pretty much immediately. And they're gonna make a beeline straight towards the main base, it seems, of the Protoss player. Big disruptor hit over there. Zealots trying to put in as much work as possible. Hatchery over here at the front ends up going down. The drones over here are also forced to run away. Mutas, yeah, they were spotted on the other side, so Stalkers were not used to be warped in aggressively. Instead, he decided to warp them in defensively. All things considered, though, Dark has lost a very small amount of workers. He really hasn't lost that much. He did kill a couple of hatcheries. Oh no, the disruptors! Hello! Hero? Wakey wakey! Okay, well that's all of the disruptors going down. There's a couple more reinforcing ones, I suppose, available. 2 more? What? Okay, well, finally one does connect, but that was the only Purification Nova it was ever going to cast. I still think this position is good enough for hero. Yeah. He's kind of the Zerg in this particular game, because his economy is much bigger. And he's been swarming his opponent, and he can afford to lose stuff as well, because he can replenish his army much better. Taking a page out of CEST book right now. 2,000 resources in the bank. I think I mentioned at the beginning of this video that these two tend to play some of the highest level, some of the lowest high level StarCraft. This is a pretty good example of it. Okay, we've spent our money. Another Nexus has come up. Okay. Getting back into the swing of things now. Fair enough. So, Roaches and Ravagers, the only unit right now that Zerg has available. Dark is basically just gonna try and... Well, there's one muta coming up too. I guess that's to get rid of that Oracle that's following him around. Dark is basically just trying to make sure that he gets a maxed out army, and I guess he wants to go one more time. The thing is, he's gonna be pushing his Roaches and Ravagers into a brick wall of Protoss. Yeah, this is soon to be 5 base economy right here for hero. He has become pretty much neighbors with the Zerg too, with the way that he's been expanding around the map. His army could have been at 200 supply at this point. I guess it isn't. That's because, well, he's been throwing away a bunch of stuff, and because of that he needs to play a little bit more cautiously, but he should still have a significant advantage. At this point he's got a bigger army, a bigger economy. Yeah, and I don't blame Dark for it. I think he spotted the base over here at the top right of your screen, and he decides to tap out. Okay. The rubber match. Game number 1 and 2, rather sloppy from the Protoss. Game number 3, very clever by the Protoss, although still a little bit messy. Game 4, though, was honestly very messy for the both of them, but significantly worse for Dark in the end. Now we find ourselves on Altitude. Biggest map in the current map pool. And honestly, it feels like either player could win this. I am ready for like a 30+ minute long crazy macro game of StarCraft 2. Both players now exactly, they know what they need to get done. And I don't think there's really a whole lot of room for cheese on a map like this, right? I mean, you can still try and play some tricks on your opponent, but at this point, there's money on the line for a match like this as well. You really don't want to, go down with a silly little build order, especially on a map as large as this one. So, usually if we're gonna get macro games, if it's a game number 5 on Altitude, it would be right here. So, I'm excited for it. We'll see. Void Ray first. Okay. The Void Ray is obviously amazing when it comes to, well, making sure that you can deny all of your opponent's scouting. You can make sure that you don't really die to any sort of roach attacks earlier on into the game. I mean, there's a couple advantages. I think overall, this is a B tier opener. It's decent. We see it every once in a while, but I think all things considered, it is one of the worst choices that you can make as a Protoss. But in a series like this, yeah, I don't hate it. One thing we've been seeing a little bit as of late from guys like, for example, hero, is a Void Ray first into straight carrier production. Especially on a map like this, it may very well work, although obviously that's something hero has already done multiple times against Dark. So it's probably not going to be the case here. Couple of depth though, on the other side of the map once again. How much damage can they get done? Okay, that's another drone going down. Well, first one in this game. Another one in this series. Second one over there, third one over there. Can we get one more? Okay. I mean, one more would be amazing, but 4 workers for 2 adepts, not a bad call. Third Nexus here, pretty early once again. I like that. We're going to be able to use that for, well, building up the economy quite nicely. Overlord found a, or sorry, the Void Ray rather, found a second Overlord too. All right, hero is off to a flying start here. Gets the creep tumor in the main, okay. None of it is game ending, but combined, it definitely is nice. Spore Crawler is now a little bit late over here in the natural expansion of the Zerg. Queens were supposed to be taking care of that, and that's an additional 3 workers. Zerglings in the meantime on the other side of the map tried getting some work done over here, but the Adepts over here were already, well, set up in the right position, and together with the Oracle, it didn't even activate its Pulsar Beam, but it would have been able to, they would have been able to easily push back a Zergling group like 3 times that size. There's the Evolution Chamber coming up for Dark. Void Ray chilling at the Watchtower, pretending like it's a ground unit, so it could take the Watchtower, but it isn't. Couple of the Oracles over here at the front as well. Trying to just put in as much work as they can. While trying to not die. The trying to not die part is pretty important, man. +1 melee coming up here as well for Dark. Okay. Dark's just ready to play a normal game, it looks like. I wonder if he wants to play Mutas once again. I think Muta play can be really strong, especially on large maps, but he's kind of showed his hand, right, in this particular series already, so I don't think it's a great choice. One thing that Dark also plays sometimes is something like Swarm Host, especially when he takes a lot of damage like he has been so far in this game. I mean, this is looking so much better for hero now. Ay, ay, ay. Oracle swooping into the main base too. Whoa. There you go, hero. Hero pounding like 2 energy drinks after game 2 of this series or something. I'm not sure what he decided to yeah, get a little bit of caffeine going or something. I'm not exactly sure, man. I like it though, don't get me wrong. This is the type of level we want to see. Look, we even have a unit in the wall off. Wow. Incredible. Never seen before. Oh! Stargate coming up. Fleet Beacon coming up. +1 flyer coming up as well. Blink together with the +1 ground weapons. Now, these 2 upgrades are the norm. This transition is several minutes early. That Oracle's dead. But at least the other 2 Oracles are still around. For now. Careful, lads. Careful, careful, don't die. Hero's making a big transition towards Skytos. And that can backfire really hard. So losing an Oracle, actually quite painful. It doesn't look to me, though, that Dark actually wants to go for any big attack. I mean, he finishes up +1 melee right now, so he's going to test the waters. But yeah, second Evo here, big indicator that he is going to let the Protoss player do whatever he likes to do for the foreseeable future. Dark wants to go up to like 85 drones here. Infestation Pit coming up too. Could be for Swarm Host. It really could be. Carrier number 1 coming up. I think he's either going to play 85 workers, 90, something like that, or he's going to go into Swarm Host play. Swarm Host Nidus is really strong, but I don't think he's going to be going for that because he would have already started up the Nidus Worm. Okay. Hero's going to try and hide carriers. How do you hide a capital ship? Well, every Zerg unit is like a horse with blinders on, you know? You know what I mean? Somehow, some way, StarCraft units can see around themselves, including the back. Nobody knows how that works. But they cannot see up. They cannot, you know, they don't have a lot of peripheral vision. I guess, I don't know where these units evolved. I guess the homeworld of Xeris, right? Most of those units on that planet are apparently on the ground. And because of that, they do not need the neck mobility to be able to look up. Very handy. But because of that, these Zerglings are unable to spot those carriers. And those carriers are a very scary unit. I wonder how many he's gonna save up. Maybe there's a chance that Dark did see the Cybercore spinning? But I don't think so. I think if he noticed the Cybercore spinning and he realized that an upgrade was researching, he would have already fired up a Spire of his own. Instead, we're gonna go into a Hive. Pathogen Glance right now too. Really the only anti-air that Dark currently has is 7 Queens and I guess some soon-to-be fungal growths. A couple of spores as well. +2 has already been fired up, by the way, here for hero. I think he's just gonna let this army grow as like a secondary force. I think you should probably not reveal it until you have at least like 6. +2 really makes a massive difference. Yeah, the problem is you can only play that surprise one time, right, in a game. You can't really pull that surprise multiple times. It is a big commitment, but so far it's clear that hero hasn't really needed all of his units for the base defense. Alright, Ultra Cavern coming up here for Dark. Decent unit against Skytals, but definitely not the best, and honestly a questionable choice here in general. When you go into Ultras, but you don't really have a lot of armor upgrades, I mean, he starts at +2 just now, I am a little concerned. There's 2 more carriers coming up. No, don't show them yet. No. Like, you really would want your opponent to go into Ultras here. Mama Ship coming up. Sonic Storm researching. Prism. I mean, the Prism has been the least reliable tool that Hero has had in this series so far, but technically it's pretty good. I would even say it's probably the best Protoss unit in the game. It's just, yeah, in this particular series, I mean, not putting in that much work. Alright, chitinous plating, +3 melee. Dark indeed sitting at 85 drones. Thank you for making me sound smart, Hero. Or Dark, rather, I appreciate that. Generally, though, this is what Zerg players do. Alright, Prism goes across the map. This is Hero just chilling, man. Hero doesn't really need to be aggressive. He's got these big capital ships that he wants to catch his opponent off guard with, and at this point, Dark has no clue about it. There's gonna be a moment where Hero is gonna reveal it. Okay, well, that's right now. This is the first time, I believe, that Dark sees he's going up against this army. Bailing Nest just finished up. Nice to deal with those zealots, I suppose, but other than that, not really a whole lot of value coming out of it. Alright, well, if he missed it with the first group of Zorklings there, now he certainly knows. Roaches and Lings are gonna push for a little bit of damage here, but there's really no way that that's gonna achieve anything. One of the High Templar, okay, does end up going down. But I think this is time for Hero to reveal what he's been building up. Yeah, this is what he's been training for, dude. Hero's like a bodybuilder. He's been hiding the entire year long, but now he's ready to step on stage. Oh, the finishing touch, look at that. This is the bicep peak right over here. Ay, ay, ay. Alright. Let's see. Does he have enough stuff to just simply overwhelm the Zerg here and wipe him off the map? That's what he's aiming for. The Mama Ship maybe could have been chrono boosted one more time so this entire attack wouldn't be like 30 seconds delayed. But eventually he's gonna move in. There is enough energy though. There's a lot of infestors available. We have a little bit, was it called again? That ability we never see. The infestor, the replacement for the infested Terran. Anyways, it's reducing all of the air to ground damage right here coming out of those carrier interceptors. It's not parasitic bomb, Lowko. It's microbial shroud. There it is. Ay, ay, ay. Very impressive. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Smash like. Professional commentator alert. Microbial shroud is one of the least used abilities in the game. But you know what? It actually does a lot of work in this particular match. That Mama Ship running dangerously low throws down a time warp as well. Most of the carriers, though, are still around. And I mean, that Prism is just pretending to be a carrier right now. Big Zealot warp in. I don't think a Zealot warp in here was particularly useful because those Ultras are just going to be able to clean it all up. My god, Microbial Shroud is actually insanely good here. We never see Microbial Shroud. It's one of the worst abilities in the game, but in the right moment, at the right time, it's actually a very powerful ability. We genuinely see it so infrequently that I forgot the name of it right there for just a second. Oh, we're gonna use Burrow. Fantastic. Okay, fungal growth over here. That fight actually took so much longer than I thought it was gonna last. I was a little bit afraid, at least. Oh no, not again. Not a hero. Yeah. Okay. I was a little bit afraid. Now, here's the door wide open, right? Immortal coming up. I was a little afraid that army was just gonna wipe out the Zerg, which is what usually happens in my games. But not quite the case. Ultras, yeah, decent unit, but they get destroyed by Immortals. Luckily here for our Zerg, though, that Immortal decided to overstay his welcome together with all of those Archons. Those Archons, and they should have been back. Anyways, the Skytle's army could not be addressed properly. And because of that, I think what hero is playing against right now is mostly Neuroparasite, but that's still like a minute away. There's no reliable anti-air that Zerg can make other than Corruptors, but when you're making upgrades, yeah, when you're making Corruptors into somebody who's already, well, finishing up the +3 air weapons, you're gonna just see your Corruptors pop out of the sky. Hydras are a horrible choice. Queens are obviously good, but very low in damage output compared to the Hydra and the Corruptor. Alright, hero surprising his opponent right there with, well, every Zerg player's worst nightmare. Speaking as a Zerg, yeah, being surprised by carriers in a mama ship, it's been happening ever since Silver League, guys. It's been many a year. It is the stuff of nightmares. Oh, that's another prism going down, but this prism did put in quite a bit of work. Like, for example, it warped in like 20 zealots that got killed by Ultras instantaneously. See, that's a lot of work. Maybe it should have gotten sniped earlier by the Queens. Maybe Dark didn't target it on purpose because he was like, yo, this guy will not be able to withstand the bait as soon as those warp gates come off cooldown. Anyways, the mama ship decides to go home. I actually don't mind it. Yeah, use it as a way to retreat. Or maybe as a way to, like, recall, you know, into another position. Dark is actually in a world of trouble right now. I mean, Dark's very good in these scenarios still, right? But he is obviously in a rough spot. Protoss has got a stellar economy. And he's got an army here that Dark doesn't have an answer for. Queens and Infestors, though. There are 14 Infestors and 8 Carriers. He can Neuroparasite all of the expensive units right now. I think that's the plan. We're gonna go for a mass Neuroparasite. Okay, Archons have already switched sides. There's Microbial Shroud going down once again. Couple of the carriers ends up falling too, and sometimes your very best answer as a Zerg is to use the opponent's weapons and units against them. Still though, good targeting right there by hero. And after being 2-0 behind at the start of this series, it's gonna be our Protoss player. And I honestly did not expect that. It's gonna be our Protoss player who obtains the victory. Whew, I hope you enjoyed watching this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to join the Discord community over at discord.gg/LowkoTV. There's a link down below in the description of this video. A lot of StarCraft fans hanging out there, and it's the easiest place to stay up to date with everything that I do. If you decide to join, definitely make sure to say hi to me in the chat.